Quando mi vedo in video e quando mi sento non mi riconosco. Soprattutto quando mi sento. La mia voce è una voce che tra l'altro non mi piace neanche tanto. Allora.
Prego, qui c'è il laser in mezzo e per cambiare le slide
Okay.
a sinistra e a destra. Prego.
Okay, so hello everyone, welcome to today's talk. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce Professor Raimondo Schettini from the University of Milano Bicocca. Raimondo is one of the leading experts in the field of color image processing, color image analysis. He's a fellow of the International Association for Photo Recognition, the main International Association for Photo Recognition and Computer Vision. He's also the director of the Computer Vision Lab.
Yeah, it's the Imaging and Vision Lab.
Okay, sorry.
Yes, something.
Vice director of
Yeah.
So today Raimondo will be talking about one of the mysteries of visual perception, which is color constancy. And we'll be talking about how to improve color constancy by image understanding, which is kind of different in perspective. Okay, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Marcello. Okay, very briefly, I don't know how many people here have some experience about color constancy. If you have some form of experience, you have seen somehow that sometimes when you use a webcam or when you use a camera, you will see that the balance, the color balance of your images is not perfect. Just like when you are used to have analogic photographs. Let's say on the sunset, you take a picture, and when you develop the film, the picture was reddish, while your perception in the original scene was not so. So I start working about this topic, I think more than 10 years ago, when digital photography became a common feature with mobile phones, with the simple fact, you have no people that use the phone, have no any experience about image processing, have no knowledge about color perception, they just want to have a good picture. We developed in the past year many algorithms, and some of our algorithms, it is possible that will be in some mobile phone that you use. What I'm today to call is about, first of all, to try to clarify what's the difference between automatic white balancing and color constancy. Color constancy is commonly used as a term for indicating let me say the capability of both human perception and computer vision systems to discount the illuminant. By the way, when we talk about color constancy in the framework of computer vision or digital photography, actually we are talking about automatic white balancing. That means that the images is to be transformed and display like under a white reference white, a luminant white. This is some example of processing. No, you have the input images and the process one. In that case, we have a reddish domination, a bluish domination, a greenish domination. And you see that they are going to automatically discount or try to balance these images. Obviously, it is not only useful for digital photography, no? Because, for example, we apply it with some degree of success for image segmentation or for material recognition. These are exactly the same texture pattern seen under different lights. It's also useful very often for to help image retrieval or image classification or object recognition. May be useful in the framework of, let me say, computer graphics, augmented reality, etc. You try to put an object in a scene, you have to be sure that the user do not notice any difference. And this is an application in terms of surveillance, because you have many different cameras, many different settings, and not only for the automatic recognition, but also for the display to the human observer, we want that the images will be almost the same, whatever is the camera and whatever is the environment where these images have been taken. So, another possible application are in the area of image forensics. Now, this is a very famous picture, fake picture. Actually, this part has been added. This young woman has been murdered a few years ago, and the friends try to promote themselves on the journal, posting these images. And actually, this images is a fake. But, well, when you compose these images, you have obviously the lighting or the dominant colors or the illuminations, distribution of the scene is one of the features you can evaluate for deciding if a digital image is an original one or a fake one. Another possible application is in the framework, for example, of human-computer communication, interaction. You like this slide as me? Because, for example, if you want to do something that recognizes the sign in a metro line, and the metro line is not like in Rome or Milano, there are just few, but you are in Tokyo, obviously you want to have sure that the colors will be the same. So, this is just to say that color constancy or automatic weight balancing have a lot of possible applications, not only digital photography. If you think in terms of how an image is composed on the retina, you have that this is simple the response of the cone sensitivities that are mainly in the domain of blue, red, and green, and this is somehow due to the illumination and the reflectance of the object. This is a simplified model in which we have no highlights, but this is a common model that is very often used. So, actually, the way in which an image is created in a digital camera is quite similar. By the way,
there is an important difference, which is the fact that we have a fovea.
Yeah.
And we also move our eyes across the scene.
Yeah, this is a very important difference for resolution. But if you say in terms of, okay, of this simplified model, in which we have the sensor, the illuminant, and the surface, what happened to a yellow, red, and green blue sample under two different lights? Actually, under the tungsten illumination, that's a common lamp, a blue sample should look almost gray, no? But why we don't see, we continue to see the blue under incandescent light? This is because this is a very simplified model, what I was saying to you before, that do not take into account the processing that we have in our eye and brain. So, under two different lights, the camera see two different colors, but the human eye see almost the same. So, this is the common way of recording at the retinal level. This is the cone sensitivity, this is the cone absorption. And this is somehow what's happened? You have an adaptation mechanism in which, in our brain, the images that we perceived actually have, let me say, almost the same color. So it is not color adaptation, is not the only mechanism of adaptation you have. No? You are used to have a dark adaptation when you enter a dark room or when you enter the cinema. You have a light adaptation. We talk here about color. So, in the human, chromatic adaptation is the capability of discounting or compensate the dominant illumination, the dominant color in the illumination. And this is mainly composed due to different factors, sensory mechanisms and some cognitive ones. So let's see some example of the sensory mechanism has been modeled many years ago, and is almost the same, even a more complex model now, in which we have some crosstalks. This von Kreis hypothesis says that we have a gain control of our sensitivities that are independent, in which when you perceive somehow a form of dominant, we reduce our sensitivity or increase our sensitivity to other things. So our content sensitivity function somehow change their shape in order to balance the dominant color in the luminant. So this is our the same scene taken under 3 different illuminants, and this is actually how we will perceive it. You will see that the images are similar but not exactly the same. Color constancy is not perfect. Many people think it is, but it's not true. This is the reason why, for example, in many cases our grandfather, grandmother are used to go to buy the wool, no? And go exit the shop to check it, no? And then re-enter, because they no information, no news about colorimetry, but they are very skilled in color matching, no? So we have almost this, and you say, you can say, okay, let's prove it. Okay. Do you see this image? Yes. You see we have a bluish dominant on the left and a yellowish dominant on the right. What happens if you fix the black dot? So force your eye to do not move. Fixing this on this retina somehow induce your eye to reduce sensitivity on bluish on this part and on reddish and yellow on the other part. So the result will be that you will see now the new images that I show you should be more balanced, right? So, and this is somehow something that's happened at the sensory level. But when I show very briefly the first slide, say there are also something due to the interpretation of the scene, something due to the cognition. So, my favorite color is yellow. Huh? Yeah, you have to find another question, right? Yeah, my favorite color is yellow. And now suppose that your favorite color is green, right? How can I produce green on this? For example, I can put a channel filter on the pillow, no? What's the resulting color here? You say green, no? You see the channel filter here? You see the tape, okay? So this is the original scene. This is the filter on the pillow. What happens if I put the channel filter on the whole image? let me say, imagine to have to make a call at home, say, what's the color of a pillow? This is actually the same color. And this is not something due to a sensory discount, but this is due to the cognition, to the interpretation of the image. And you say, okay, this is, where is the trick? No trick. This mechanism is also spatially varying. No? Imagine to put this filter with a red filter on the left and the red filter just here on the pupil, no? Mechanism of color combination here, just to have an idea. The result is that on this part, this is gray, no? On the left part, you still see the eye is blue. So color constancy is also spatially varying. So we are able, for example, in the
from another perspective, says that how important is the use of contextual information and
exactly.
image processing and visual perception.
Exactly. Even for tasks that are considered very low level.
Yeah. There was another experiment with the completely gray images, in which the brain was able to put the color into the image.
Yes, after images. I have some example that I don't show you. I also one of these steps that create an after image that lasts about 24 hours. So you continue to have an hallucination about color, like modern drugs, no? By the way, this is our same target under different lighting conditions. If we know the color, if we know the illumination, we are able to discount by simple scaling of the values to discount the color of illuminant. This is what is commonly done in color management system for color reproduction. When you pass, for example, from the projector to the screen, from the screen to the printing, etc. This mechanism is not in the color management system, is also modeled by a factor that takes into account some cognitive aspect. That, for example, when you see that, when you know that it is a reproduction, your discount is not complete. If I mask you the frame with the frame, the context, your discount somehow become complete, even on the same screen or the same projection. Color constancy in the area of computer vision means that we have to estimate from the image itself the color of illumination and then use this estimate for correct the image, right? So imagine that you know exactly what are we doing. We are able to detect the white patch, the scaling between the white patch gives us a transformation that's applied to the whole image balance, make it possible to produce an output. So in the area of digital photography, when you buy a camera, you will see that you will have manual setting for the white, custom that you done as a post-processing. So no white balancing is done on the camera, or we have auto white balancing. Auto white balancing means that the images is somehow transformed and we produce an images like an image is acquired under a perfect white illumination, a neutral one. This is a possible setting of a manual or manual white balancing. No, you set on your camera the color temperature of a light source. No, incandescent, domestic, blue sky, etc. And from this, the image is corrected. You may, or opposite, you may take the images and just copy the raw data in Photoshop and say, okay, I use, for example, this white object for balancing. I want that this white object will be pure white, and in that case, you can do that. No? Obviously, you cannot do frame by frame, no? So you need something that automatically define. We have an algorithm that automatically defines the illumination and discount it. If you want to investigate this topic and want to design a new algorithm or want to make a comparison, you need a data set for testing and a way to assessment the performance. Many years ago, the data set for sensing most commonly was Mondrian-like, right? So the first work on color constancy was applied to Mondrians under different illumination. Since the real world is not Mondrian-like, with a few exceptions there, in general, we have a real scene in which we have a target of something that whose color unknown. What you see here is a target that is commonly named Macbeth color checker. No? In this other data set that I know exactly when it's been acquired because I was there, we have a gray ball that is mounted with the arm in front of the camera. So every image that is acquired has this gray ball. This gives some information about the color of illumination and also by the direction. Now, the large majority of experiments are carried out on this data set that has been acquired by Microsoft a few years ago, which see many scenes like this, in which you have the target. If you want to use that, you mask the target in the original scene, apply your algorithm, and evaluate the error with respect to the ground truth. Obviously, to evaluate the error, since the color you know that the color is a three-dimensional feature, but actually these three-dimensional features are composed by chrominance and luminance. Obviously, the same scene can be under the same exactly light in terms of chromatic adaptation at different illumination level. So very often we do not use absolute RGB values, but we use the angle between the RGB values, between the two vectors, no? as an error. No? In this case, we have a measure that is independent from the level of illumination. It's just the angle between the RGB values of true white and estimated one. So, in practice, we have an input image, estimate the white, apply the correction, transform the images, and on the reference color, you evaluate the angle between the reference colors. Many algorithms in the literature are based on very simple assumptions. For example, the most common one is that the average color of a scene is gray. If you have a look around, and if you take an average of color here, under a white luminance, this should be gray. If I take an average that is reddish, it is likely that this reddish is due to the illumination. Gray world works in many different cases, but may fail very badly in many other cases. So on the top of this, in the literature, there was many variations for.
Because of the countryside, so it's not great.
Yeah, because there are many cases. So there are a lot of rules, custom rules put on the top. For example, avoid oversaturated pixels that may bias. Use only bright pixels. Use only information across the edge. Whatever. No? This is a class of algorithm. Another class of algorithms somehow try to find other two different variations of the same idea. Try to find the best white thing in the scene and use that for balancing. How many of you are used to use come si chiama la schiuma da barba? Foam for shaving. You use, yeah. Tomorrow morning, try to smile, and then tell the color of your teeth.
Okay. When you are shaving.
Yeah. Yeah.
After having brushed my teeth.
No, yeah. No, even after. Okay. Now, if I ask you the color of your teeth, you say white. Put the phone on your face and then say, what's the color of your teeth? Smile, and then I try to assess them. We balance our perception with the whitest thing in the scene. In this case, this table. But this is not really white. You see some possible application of this now, original scene, original per process, etc. And you can see here why, for example, the gray world failed, no? Because in this case, this is a very bad picture, no? Too much sky. But this bluish influence scene, so on average, this is interpreted as a bluish illumination, and when we have a discount, we have this ugly picture as output. So one possibility is to say, okay, how I want to improve this, what can I do? For example, you can say that your face, I see your face when I told about the edge. If I just take a color across the edge, in this case, this larger blue area is not influenced because it's counted just like a white one. So we can have, you can put everything together and have this type of formulation in which you say, okay, imagine that you can filter the images, and if you have a very large filter, actually you have the average of the whole one. If you just take a single pixel, you just search for single one. If you apply or do not apply the derivatives, you take or do not take a pixel close to the edge. Okay, so tuning these parameters, you may have some variation of the algorithm that I told you before. What's happened? That applied to images like this, the results will be very disappointed. So if you work with a company that produce some devices, you will very soon realize that average performance are not the actual measure of performance, but is the worst case that is the actual measure of performance. So you have to avoid not to have an average performance and one image destroyed, because the user feeling about your product is done on that image. So another class of algorithm is say, okay, in a proper chromaticity diagram, we can realize that some color can exist only under particular illumination. No? A super saturated red can be only under a reddish illumination, right? So if you see two different images under two different colors, we have some colors that we have no way to decide which is the illumination. But evaluated the colors here, we can decide which is the best. No? This class of algorithms are called Gamut Mapping, Gamut Transformation, Color by Correlation. There are many variations of this idea. Many years ago, we start working on that, and we start to make, don't worry about now of the name of the algorithm, just take an idea. No? We make a comparison on standard data sets. And what we noticed is not that on average some algorithms are better than others. That is the obvious result. What we noticed here that whatever is the algorithm, on some particular images, these are the worst. There is no the safe one. So people are about of thinking in terms of average performance, best performance. We focus our attention on the worst count. And we notice that whatever is the algorithm tested, there are a percentage of images on which this algorithm perform very badly. But if we analyze, this is in terms of in a chromaticity diagram, if we analyze, compare the estimate of a different algorithm from the pattern recognition point of view, you can decide which is the best estimate. No? No? You decide, for example, that this is too far. No? And take, for example, an average here. This is too spread, and that you have to count on only on these two. No? So we start investigating the idea that the different algorithm, each of one assume a different hypothesis, could be somehow combined. And when we notice the different point, different observation that, okay, this is seen from an algorithm point of view, but what happens if we analyze the images? If we analyze the images, for example, you can say, that's clear. Indoor images and outdoor images have a different set of lightings and different type of image composition distribution. So we set up the first classifier using a classification regression trees, in which images are classified as indoor, outdoor, and something that we are not sure. And we notice that using this type of information for deciding which algorithm is best, and make it possible to say, okay, on indoor we have the best algorithm, on outdoor we have the best algorithm, on image we are not sure, we take an algorithm that is safe. Performance are largely improved. So some form of image annotation for reducing the combination. Next step, you say, So Marcello told me, why use a classification? You could use directly the features. Instead of using the image, the feature that you use for classifier, define a classification with respect to the best algorithm or the best algorithm combination. No? So, sorry. Images are described in terms of low-level features. I think this is not considered. Low-level features such as edge direction, color histogram, wavelets, whatever, that are the features we use for door-to-door classification. We have several possible algorithms, and the system is trained to associate an image with a given set of features to the best possible algorithm for this set of features. Again, this produces another possible improvement. So we start thinking, okay, we use low-level features. Okay, we use high-level features such as scene, and we have an improvement. We use low-level features such as color histograms, wavelets, statistics, and we have an improvement. What do we have in the middle? In the middle, we have objects. And in particular, we have face. In about 50% of commercial images, there is a face. So, in many camera, there is already implemented a face detector that are used for autofocusing. So, the idea is, can we use the face for color balancing? So, let's start noting that in a proper chromaticity space, whatever our ethnicity, our skin chromaticity are very close. You can see here that we have black people, Japanese, Indian, Caucasian, etc. We have all the same color, just a different level of brightness. So, now we have to decide which is the set of possible color. So we took a data set of real skin measures that we got from Japan, from the standardization committee, Japanese standardization committee. We simulate that skin under about 300 possible illuminants, and the simulation of the acquisition with the proper tool that has been given us by Stanford University for camera simulation under 6 different commercial cameras. Actually, the gamut of the skin for the different cameras are different, but all the skins are in a given sector. So we can say that any color outside here for sure is not skin. Then we are able to find the face, and assuming for a moment that you can use skin for color balancing. But the problem that we don't know the illumination, and so we cannot classify the skin pixel. Now, moreover, face are also like that. No? This is our real face, and this is our the skin max we detect. How we detect them? We simply made a simple assumption. The largest cluster in the skin, in the face area, are due to skin. So the largest cluster in the skin area,
Even if it's not a connected component?
even if it's not a connected component, are due to skin. No? In that case, we don't need too much pixel. In that case, now we see that this is not detected, the area is not detected, etc. In this case, no detection, this is our some skin. So, in practice, we have an unsupervised classification. We use a scale space approach for finding the best peak, blah, blah, blah. We associate this to the skin. And since we have modeled the skin, the set of possible skin under different illumination, we apply a Gamut mapping algorithm for finding the color of illumination. The idea is that we apply different transformation, and the transformation that map all the possible skin in the all possible skin under that illumination are the transformation associated to that illuminant. This is a quite smart approach. The problem is that it's a bit computational intensive because we have to find many tests. There are some problems that may not converge. And if you want to work with the private companies, you have to look also about patent.
What would you say a solution does not always exist, so you can find the best approximation?
Yeah, but not necessarily you will find the perfect one. So we have to interpolate, etc. So we test that on the Microsoft dataset, and we test using a real phase detector and an ideal phase detector, but the phase has been manually segmented. And again, we outperform all the possible methods in the state of the art. This is the flowchart of this, no? And then we extend this to somehow. We say, okay, in this case, the estimation is done on the two phases, and both the phases are used for correcting the images. But in images like this, you have lighting coming from the projector, from this window, that window. The color of illumination in this scene is not homogeneous. But using the phase, we have a local estimate, because that phase, that phase, that phase. So we extended this work, we make this work spatially varying, and means that in practice, run a phase detector. If no phases are detected, apply a default algorithm to all the images. If more than one phase is found, make an estimation for the single phase. If estimation of the two phases is close enough, apply a global transformation. If are far, apply local transformation and somehow interpolate the results in the middle. So this is what I just said. For the single phase, we decide if we have to apply a single transformation of a spatially varying. Another point. Now, you are somehow accept the idea that white may be used for correcting images. What about gray? Can be used? Yeah. What about yellow? Can be used or not? Maybe not.
Okay.
No, it mainly depends on saturation, on the color, etc. So Simone Bianco, that the co-author of almost this work that I've done in color constancy, or by recent at least, make this experiment to see if, or define a test to decide that to make it possible to evaluate if a given color is statistically equivalent or not to a white for color balancing, and run the procedure that is able to detect which color are visible or not. In that case, for example, blue is not a visible one, it's visible possible color that is equivalent, that can be used. I have a blue sample here. I cannot use the blue in another images to find the balance. I have a white sample here. I can use that. I have a skin sample. I can use this color skin instead of white for making color balancing. So instead of scaling the white coordinates, just scaling the skin coordinates, produce results that are almost equivalent to use white. So we have now a much more efficient algorithm, because take the skin on the face, take an average, the ratio between the average of your skin and the reference skin give us the information for making the transformation. Very fast. We also collect a very large data set of images. We collected, I think this is Van Gogh. No? This has been acquired in Florence during ACCD or ACCD. Our images have been acquired in Japan and in Taiwan. You can see that people have multiple ethnicity. Some targets that has been acquired in Taiwan and has been acquired not not directly by us, but some people there that use a gray sample instead of the full mapped color checker. So we make a comparison with global estimate and local estimate, etc. I want to see, we made statistical analysis to decide which is better, and also significant analysis to decide if this probability is not just a matter of some number. This is some example which this algorithm fail when the light source is behind the face. No? Since we use the face for estimation of the luminant, if a light source is behind, our estimation is not so good.
How do you determine the ideal correction?
The ideal correction means in this case, for determining the ideal correction, we use this sample. No? So ideal correction is not a matter of taste or preference. It's just evaluated numerically with respect to the color target. And these are some examples taken from a paper. You can see this is the original image, and this is the raw data on the sensor of your camera. No? And you can see there are these nice girls with different macro color checker. And this is our algorithm say, okay, the difference in chromaticity of the two faces is too large for apply the single transformation. This is the results using not the face, but the target. Now you can see here, this is well balanced, and you can see the reddish part here, no? The second one, the third one, the last one. This is the spatially varying using all the targets, and this is the spatial. These are the face detected with somehow exaggerated color of illumination. This is the illumination map estimated, and this is our proposal. So the original one, using the target, our proposal. This is another example. Two students were from Bicocca. The difference in chromaticity is small because it's just in chromaticity. So global transformation. Using the first target, using the second one, proposed method, left face, right face. You see also that the results using the left face and the right face are almost the same. So skin is a good feature and is quite stable. This is the computational color imaging workshop held in Japan 4 years ago. You may recognize myself, Shoito Minaga, Alain Tremont, Vandel from Stanford, Simone Bianco, and other people. So this is taking the badge, and the image is corrected using the badge. You can see that the first row is well corrected, the back is not. The image is corrected using the badge on the last row. This is one algorithm in the state of the art. And this is the, obviously, it is well balanced, I think yes, but there is something that we don't like it too much. And this is our proposal. So why I say that I don't like very much this and I like this? Yes, this is one good reason. Because this is very, this algorithm in some cases make very bad results. I've not shown here because it's not fair. I don't want to prove nothing. But this is a good balancing from the computational point of view. But we have neutralized too much the image. This is good for, let me say, face counting or people recognition or whatever. This somehow have not, our images somehow have neutralized the images, but have kept somehow the mood of the original scene. No? So this is one issue. We come back to digital photography and say, what is the best possible correction when you have multiple lights? Because in this case, using one image, using another one, simultaneous one. But actually, the simultaneous one make the resulting images quite cold, no? What about when you want to keep somehow the mood of these images? What about if I make everything here perfectly white? Perfectly white, perfectly white. This is good. Would you consider that a good picture for your memory album? So we somehow want to not only in digital photography, we want also to be able to keep somehow the mood of a picture when this mood has some importance. Now I think I have a couple of images here. if you take a picture of with no lights of your candle on your cake, you don't want that perfectly neutral, no? Yeah? If you don't want that, I remove completely the reddish cast on your sunset. So, what can I do for do that? In that case, what is important is to keep what is called the naturalness of the scene. So the scene should look natural to your eye. And to do that, we have to have possible solutions are a better model of chromatic adaptation, a better interpretation of the semantic clues we have on the scene. So I think that the next generation should take into account that the degree of chromatic adaptation is also related to the quantity of light you have, no? When you have 30 candles incandescent light, you will see the reddish. If you have 100 candles in incandescent light, you don't see the reddish one, the reddish cast. Why? Because the mechanism of discount is also related to the quantity of light. Highly saturated color, light, cannot be discounted. In our algorithm, it can be. I estimate the reddish illuminant, I can remove it completely. But I cannot, when you watch the traffic light, and you continue to watch the traffic, you look at it. In Venice is very often, no? When you look at traffic light, if you fix the traffic light will not become neutral, no? So because they are very saturated light. And also when the light is too high, we have some form of blur of whatever is the color of the light, if we have some form of saturation of both in the eye and in the sensor. So this is a lab image under 4 different lights. This is an our algorithm, but the idea is the same. Original images, our algorithm as comparison with Retinex. Our algorithm a comparison with Retinex. When the cast is too strong, we prefer to do not do nothing instead of processing that. So you can tune somehow and decide it when apply or not. Another problem that is related to, again, to the interpretation of the scene, that the color here are the same of light, the color here are the same of light. On these two scenes that are exactly the same color target, the same color of illumination, on the top, user don't want to remove completely the cast because of the sun, on the beach. In the studio, want to remove completely. So some form of image understanding help to find the solution. Another point, actually, we use memory colors. What is memory colors? Something that you have a model. You have a model in your mind. You have a model for skin, you have a model for sky, for grass, for sand, for blood. So, using memory color help us to produce images that are more pleasant, more natural, not necessarily more correct, but that are perceived as correct. This means that you should be able to detect, for example, in this case, the green, the sky, and the skin, and use the skin, the sky, the grass, etc., for transforming your images. But may create also another important thing in which you can use image understanding and modeling. Different cultures have a different preference about color. So, for Japanese people, skin should be pale. For Italian guys, for Italian people, skin should be tan. For Japanese people, the sky is bluer. No? So, you don't only have to model that, but we have to model that also with respect to the different GPS coordinates. You can see here on Nikon, and you can see the same scene rendered for different type of scene. Neutral one, landscape. In this case, you see that vegetation is more saturated and brighter, but skin looks tan. And instead, if you use the face, you have the opposite effect on the skin, on the vegetation. So, obviously, we can go further in this. We have to apply the segmentation of that and apply different things. Because actually, in the future, we would like to have automatically the blend of this. So, in practice, in digital, when you talk about computer vision, you have a dimension of quality that is the usefulness. That I have a task, I have to recognize something. When we talk about, let me say, dermatology, fine arts, or something like that, the main features is fidelity. When you talk about digital photography, the main feature is naturalness. So we are moving in a three-dimensional space, and the setting of our algorithms are different with respect to the different applications. That obviously should be somehow, ideally, automatically defined. So this is just a summary of what I've told you. Maybe in the future, I will show you something about convolutional neural networks. We have actually a paper submitted now as I think it's almost finished, the review process. We designed the convolutional neural networks for doing color constancy correction, spatially varying, etc. And I discussed before with Marcello. He said, "Oh, neural networks are a black box. You put an input, have enough data." No, we did something different. We create come si chiama, una autopsy dissection of this neural network. We have to see what the neural network produced of the different layers. And what we realized that the first layer, some layers detect single colors, spot colors, some colors, some memory colors, etc. Some intermediate features detect the features across the edge. Further layer detect face. So we found that obviously we designed the network, but trained it from the scratch. At the end, the neural networks learn the features that I discussed, I presented to you. Pixel, average, edge, bright colors, vegetation, wide surface, and face. So, 5 minutes late. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So You must be happy with convolution. He's the deep learning guy in our group, so he should be happy about that.
I was expecting
Actually, I was about to ask, what about convolution on your own letters, but you anticipated my question. I have one question though, because the entire talk was devoted on static images. What about videos? I mean, I suspect that using temporal information could somehow be useful. Is there any work done on this?
Oh, we done that. Actually, we done that. Okay. There was a mobile phone by Nokia named 95. Is an old one, but was 10 years ago, something like that. That was the top mobile phone for digital photography. And in that phone, we made the computational algorithm for color constancy, also for video. And in that case, we have somehow form of, if you move the camera very quickly, you may have some halo effect or something strange. By the way, these algorithms are designed somehow to work on real time.
Yeah, so but I mean, the use of temporal information might be useful for...
Oh, not actually, just in some particular case, because in general, the scene do not change so fast, right? So the use of temporal information is somehow useful for avoid that for example, a flash of a digital camera, so a photographer make completely crazy the system or something like that. So we use that, but it's not very, in real scenario, not very useful.
Maybe if you want to add more, increase the number of frames, you have to produce some artificial frames in order to augment the number of frames in order to the length.
Oh,
You can
actually, the problem.
the motion inside of the scene in some way that.
Yeah, but there are no slow motions. Okay, actually, consider the scene. Okay, you don't move faster than how many frames? 30 frames per second. So this is not Grand Prix. So in general, obviously, in some cases we have to make the balance on videos, but in that case we have only to avoid that there are some bumping in the perspective. There are some smooth transitions.
In this period, a lot of movies are for a very small number of seconds, but they are composed by a lot number of frames, so it seems that the scene is very, very long. It's kind of slow motion.
Oh, that actually. Now we start working on this type of data. There are some 6-second videos. There are animated GIF, etc. Actually, at the moment, in that case, there are this type of data for the moment are very carefully designed. So in general, if you have a reddish light, because they want a reddish light, and you have not to remove it. But if, I agree with you, if you have to make, for example, an image understanding system, and now I was thinking if I have a slide, I have to check it. Let me see. No, maybe later, sorry. But by the way, we have somehow our presentation, which show that the same AlexNet architecture for scene recognition, when on the scene there is a filter, a color cast, the recognition completely fails. There was an image in which we have a slice of pizza, recognized at 80% of accuracy. With the reddish filter, the other images say that is I don't know, completely different thing, that it is a boat, something like that. Not even food.
You just put this filter, you don't try to make a to find a way of putting a bad filter to make it different, but you just...
No. We use that. We have just presented a paper, I think, in the computational color imaging workshop, in which we recognize the histogram filter. than to be able to remove it. And because histogram filters on your images may alter completely the recognition of your neural network. So at the moment, let me say, the basic AlexNet is is not very robust with respect to changing the color.
So talking about AlexNet, if I remember correctly, AlexNet was implemented on two GPUs, right? And if I remember correctly, on one GPU, the extracted were color agnostic. So you did not consider color, while the feature extracted in the second GPU were more dependent on color.
Yeah, but
I'm curious to know why this happened.
Okay, but in general, because I give you this is a general observation. For something, the color is an intrinsic part. If you want to recognize a tree, green is important. If you want to recognize a car, green is not important because the car can be on any color. So you have to somehow to model that. When you have something that is general, you have to decide if color is or not a discriminant feature. So I think that's the problem.
I was thinking that AlexNet is a bit too old, like 2007. Have you tried some new neural networks like residual net, which instead of trying to classify between the layers, essentially try to find the nodes there?
Yes, we have done something in this direction, but I have no public result on that.
Did you work also with HDR?
HDR
dynamic range images?
In the past, yes.
For doing this type of work in color constancy?
Oh, HDR in general is not thought for color constancy. Is made for exploit the dynamic range for dealing at the same time underexposed or overexposed images. So it's actually could be combined for any HDR imaging pipeline.
More questions? More questions? Okay, no, let's start.
Thank you. Ci devo pensare un attimo se c'è dentro qualcosa.